Good day. My name is Quinn Hayes, and I'm the Program and Grants Manager for Together Women Rise. And it is our pleasure today to have with us Troy Anderson with Speak Up for the Poor, our December grantee. We're super excited to have him here with us. So, Troy, thank you so much for being here and to share with our members your impactful work.
Yeah, thanks, Quinn. Good to be with you, and we're grateful for Together Women Rise.
Well, why don't we get started by first watching your amazing video to tell us a little bit more about your work. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen.
The abuse and exploitation of girls in poverty is among the greatest human rights issues in the world, and child marriage is the most widespread form of that abuse. Tens of thousands of girls around the world are forced into harmful child marriages every day. Child marriage ends a girl's education. It leads to a higher incidence of domestic violence against girls and women, and it significantly increases the frequency of maternal and infant mortality. Child marriage destroys girls' lives and futures. In Bangladesh, where we work, 2 out of every 3 girls are given in early marriage. Speak Up is working to stop this abuse of girls and to empower them to stay in school instead, all the way through college or higher education. Through our girls' education program, hundreds of girls from poor families who otherwise would have been vulnerable to child marriage and all the dangers it entails are now being empowered to stay in school all the way through higher education, elevating the well-being and status of girls and women in their communities. Together Women Rise is partnering with us again in this critically important work. Funding from Together Women Rise will allow us to provide health and safety training throughout 2024 to more than 1,600 girls in our girls' education program in each of the 36 villages and urban slums in which we work. Your support will help us empower a generation of girls to rise above poverty and live better lives. Village life can be tough for girls in poverty. There are many threats to their health and safety. Poor families often lack access to clean water. Living in crowded quarters, in close proximity to livestock, with inadequate sanitation and waste systems often contributes to disease. Families in our context are often uneducated about basic hygiene issues. Girls and women often lack access to feminine products. Girls and women in our working area are also often unaware of their legal right to bodily autonomy. They often don't know what to do or who to talk to when they are at risk of or experiencing physical or sexual abuse. Our health and safety seminars will address these subjects, giving girls the knowledge and resources they need to live healthier and safer lives. Funding from Together Women Rise will also help us to hire a nursing school graduate of our girls' education program to be a full-time community health nurse in 2024 and beyond. This healthcare professional will oversee our girls' health and safety seminars in every village and urban slum reached by our program, as well as in our college women's dormitories, which house young women in our program while they pursue their higher education. We are grateful to partner with Together Women Rise to give girls from poor families the education and tools they need to avoid child marriage and other forms of abuse, to stay in school, to live healthy lives, and to reach their own dreams for their future. Thank you for helping us create a new reality for girls and women.
What a lovely video. Thank you so much for you and your team preparing that for us and our members. Why don't we start our discussion by our first question, which is, let's talk about the issue your grant is addressing. And can you share a story or the impact on the young girls or young women that you hope to have by means of this work?
Yeah, the grant will be going mostly to fund our work on health and safety training, which are intricately connected here, but mostly we'll be dealing with physical health helping girls, as the video mentioned, learn about, even some of the younger girls learn about basic sanitation issues as they get a little bit older, about feminine hygiene issues, providing training and instruction and even some supplies for the young women. So that will reach the 2,000 girls and young women in our girls education program, and hundreds of others who were kind of just on the fringes who will come to those trainings. So really the biggest impact, like in the past when Together Women Rise funded some health and safety training, and again, is both the benefits the girls get from that training, but also the help it gives for the young women who are in nursing school to have practical opportunities to learn to be training and teaching other girls. So it's kind of a really cool cycle that we have, that girls who become nurses through our program are now teaching the next generation. So we've had, I think, about 21, 22 young women finish nursing school through our program. And we have, I think, almost 50 that are in nursing school now, and 20 or 30 more will start. And this whole program is a part of encouraging that, which is a great career opportunity for the girls coming from our slums and villages.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Troy, just so I understand, so are there girls that have been through the program, graduated, and when they get to the higher education, these are some of the girls that are going into the nursing program to then be able to come back to serve the girls with through education and so forth?
Yeah, exactly. So probably every year we'll have about 30 or 40 that finish high school and start some kind of higher education. And about half of those will be nursing schools, but those numbers are nursing students. The numbers will go up. We'll probably have 30 girls start nursing school in January. So most of them will go work for hospitals or clinics, but we will hire one full-time for us. But many of them, even if they have outside jobs, are part-time just working for us at those health seminars.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for clarifying that and talking about the continuum that happens after they go through the program. Let's move on. How has the wider community and their families responded to the work of the project thus far?
Yes. So for the medical part of things, it's almost 100% positive, because regardless of what your family, especially the men, regardless of what they might think about child marriage or wanting to marry off their daughter young, pretty much everyone will be supportive of the health component of our program. So that is 100% support. So, in a pretty traditional conservative society, we have about 50% Hindu, 50% Muslim. Like, as a man, it's a little bit unusual to be leading a program for girls. I kind of set the tone and kind of empower people, but then the female staff deal with things. So for especially the health issues. So I don't get as much information, feedback about those specific things, but I kind of get a little wink and a nod. I'm like, okay, it's going good, when they're dealing with more women's issues. And broadly, the communities are very supportive of everything to do with health training. When it comes to our work stopping child marriage, that's a little bit more of a mixed bag, because there's some, especially the more conservative families, that are like, well, that's nice that you helped our daughter, but now she's 16, we're going to marry her off. So we don't really like your ideas. So that's more of a tension at that point. But we're working on that slowly. And like in anything, if you paint a picture of how things can be better through education, how a girl can have some income and find a better man to marry if she's educated and better off, empowered, then most people will respond positively to that over the long haul.
Can you talk a little bit? Thank you for sharing that. Can you tell me a little bit about how girls might hear about your program, or how the word is spread, or anything about how they enter into the program?
Yeah, so in the villages and slums we work, it's so high density, so you don't need to advertise formally, right? So girls officially join our program in 6th grade, but the 4th and 5th grade girls kind of start hanging around. We call them learning centers, little schoolrooms, where 5 days a week our tutors, which many of our tutors are the girls in college, tutors provide free tutoring and academic help for younger girls. So the 4th and 5th grade girls kind of start hanging around and coming those tutoring times, and then they start in officially a certain proximity, and you're needy in the 6th grade. But we don't need to advertise because there are so many girls. It's so high population. The word just spreads kind of naturally.
Okay, wonderful. Lastly, let's talk a little bit about what's next for Speak Up for the Poor. What are your future plans and aspirations in a perfect world? If you had it your way, would you expand? Would you go to other areas? Share with us what are your future plans and what's next for you?
Yeah, well, like ultimately, if we had more funding and all the things that came with that, we would go to other countries. But specifically now for Bangladesh, we'd like to go to other districts. So now we're in the Khulna division, which is one of the 8 main divisions of Bangladesh. But we would like over the next few years to expand to other districts. Bangladesh has 170 million people, so we're in a very tiny piece of it. So we could do what we're doing in literally 5,000 villages one day. So I'd like to expand, and both in numbers, but also in depth and sophistication in each of those locales too. So like when you are doing nonprofit work, it's kind of a balance. If you have X amount of money, like how many people can reach with that, because there are unlimited number of girls that could use help. So, but besides expanding our girls empowerment program, I'd like one day to in the past, we funded a home for girls who were removed from brothels. And I got my start in these issues as a lawyer, working on interventions and rescues of girls from some of those areas. And I'd like to do more of that work, both having a home for girls a safe home for girls, because there's not a great option for that in Bangladesh. A lot of young women who are trafficked into India. So if they're rescued and brought back here, a home for them. And I'd like to have more of a legal team to go work on more of those issues in the future. But that would be a kind of a different aspect of our work than our girls' education program. But for that, I would just like to expand it to hundreds of more villages and slums one day.
Wonderful. That's really inspiring. Thank you for that, and giving us a little information about your background and how you were drawn to the work as a previous lawyer. So that's really powerful and inspiring. So we have a couple of minutes. I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to share that we didn't necessarily go over in questions, or if you just want to take a moment to say anything to Together Women Rise or our members.
Yeah, for sure. That to you and the rest of your staff, and to all the members and different clubs around the U.S. Like, just thanks for the great generosity you've shown us. It's a great inspiration for our girls. The young women in the dorm have gone on a few Zoom calls with a couple of the clubs. I think one in Florida, and I think one other one too. And it was really fun for them to meet professional women who like really inspire them and motivate them. So yeah, it's just a great help to us, both practically with the funds, but also to, psychologically, for us to know that we have partners. So we're grateful for your partnership, and yeah, it will do great things to help some girls stay in nursing school, and to have literally a couple thousand young women get some training next year and some supplies they need and everything. So thanks so much. And conceptually, just one more thing I might say is that, like I just mentioned a minute ago, that we would like to do more work on interventions and getting girls out of the brothels and some of the worst places of exploitation, which is important, and in the aftercare and even the legal prosecution and stuff. But still, even though I got my training as a lawyer and I went into this whole field of this working with young girls and young women, because of that, still, I think most of the money needs to go on prevention efforts, which is like prevention and empowerment, which is why it's great that you and other similar organizations give grants to organizations that are working on prevention. Because the sad truth is that for every young woman that's removed from terrible exploitation, unfortunately, there's 1,000 more that could take her place. So I've realized over time, you need to go back upriver to the poor communities. And if you can empower those girls, they're never going to end up downstream in the worst places. So, I still think huge amount of money needs to go into the rescues from terrible things and prosecution and legal work and all that. But still 95% of the money needs to go into things that aren't quite as visually exciting all the time, but are really important: health training and education and daily tutoring and the things we're doing. So your money will go directly to those things. And I think that's right on. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for really helping us and our members put a face to the issue and why the funding for this type of work is so very important. So again, Troy, on behalf of Together Women Rise and our members, we'd like to say thank you for all that you and your team are doing in Bangladesh to help um, grant freedom really to girls, young girls, and the future plans that you really want to do more of. You truly are inspiring the next generation of women and girls. And we just say thank you. And to all of our members, we can't do this work without you. So we want to say thank you to you too. And we'll see you all next year. You're our December grantee. So we're closing out the year with you, Troy. So it's a really, really exciting time. We just closed out celebrating 20 years of Together Women Rise. So we can't wait to see what the next 20 years will be. So thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you next year.